A demonic nun, a malevolent weeping woman, and a creepy doll that should be killed with fire. If you want to creep into the Conjuring universe, you've got to know the right way to do it. The earliest film set in the Conjuring universe is actually the fifth movie released in the franchise, 2018's The Nun, which is directed by Corin Hardy. Set in 1952, the film takes place at a monastery in Romania, with the Vatican dispatching a priest, Father Burke, and a novice nun, Sister Irene, to investigate reported supernatural activity. There, the duo must contend with the fearsome demon Valak, which has seized control of the place and wreaks havoc for the fun of it. The Nun provides more backstory on Valak, who is a primary antagonist of The Conjuring 2 and has become one of the franchise's most memorable demons. Additionally, the end of The Nun reveals Valak is also responsible for instigating the events of the first Conjuring movie, with the Warrens encountering the possessed Maurice in 1971. This solidifies how this spooky being is central to all of the shenanigans in this universe. After the successful reception to the spin-off film Annabelle, director David F. Sandberg explored the origins of the evil doll with the 2017 prequel, Annabelle Creation. Set primarily in 1955, the story begins with a doll maker and his wife inadvertently allowing a demon to possess one of their porcelain dolls after their daughter's tragic death 12 years earlier. After the couple converts their home into an orphanage, the demon menaces a group of girls and the nun staying inside while looking for a human host. More than just revealing the circumstances of how the intensely creepy doll became possessed by a demon in the first place, Annabelle Creation directly sets up the events of the first Annabelle movie. Janice, who is one of the orphans terrorized by the doll, secretly remains possessed by the demon into adulthood. Relocating to Santa Monica, Janice renames herself Annabelle prior to being adopted by the Higgins family. The Nun 2 sees Valak rise and reappear to torment Sister Irene once again. Set in 1956, just a year after the primary events of Annabelle Creation, the story takes place in a French boarding school. Sister Irene is situated there now, but she begins to worry when she starts having dreams about the wicked Valak's return. Before long, a priest is killed and the demon manifests once more. Valak has set its sights on Sister Irene, but it also terrorizes the young girls who live at the school. While Valak was undoubtedly frightening before, The Nun 2 proves that the demon has a lot more tricks up its sleeves. It is yet another installment that solidifies why Valak has become one of the faces of the franchise, even if the face is enough to give everyone nightmares for decades afterward.
That must be respected.
The first Conjuring spin-off was 2014's Annabelle, focusing on the sinister doll of the same name that appears in the original Conjuring film. Directed by John R. Leonetti, Annabelle takes place in 1967 Santa Monica. The Higgins family is brutally killed by a satanic cult, and the creepy doll figures prominently at the murder scene. Following the attack, the Higgins neighbors, the Forms, relocate to Pasadena. Yet they find themselves plagued by paranormal activity linked to the doll. Annabelle takes place immediately after Annabelle Creation ends, with Janice killing her own family as part of her devotion to the demonic cult. There are further ties to the wider Conjuring franchise, including the characters contemplating having the Warrens help exorcise the demonic entity targeting them. The final link to the first Conjuring movie is a woman buying the Annabelle doll as a gift for her daughter, unaware of its evil history. This quietly sets the stage for The Conjuring and the Warrens' first encounter with the doll. The Conjuring universe kicked off with a hugely successful 2013 film The Conjuring, which is directed by James Wan. It introduces demonologist Ed and Lorraine Warren as they investigate a haunted farm in Rhode Island. Set in 1971, the movie sees the Warrens summoned when the parent family falls victim to a witch's curse, as the matriarch Carolyn is possessed by the witch's spirit. As the Warrens learn more about the 19th century witch Bathsheba in an effort to exorcise her, they discover that the evil has followed them home. The film's link to its subsequent line of growing prequels are evident throughout, with the Warrens having recently acquired the Annabelle doll after exorcising it for the woman that bought it in Annabelle. Similarly, the Warrens encounter Maurice, whose backstory and the circumstances behind his possession are revealed in The Nun. The Conjuring ends with a glimpse of the Warrens' room of cursed objects, the contents of which would feature prominently in the movies to come.
Everything you see in here is either haunted, cursed, or has been used in some kind of ritualistic practice. Nothing's a toy.
After being introduced in The Conjuring and appearing prominently in 2 prequel films, the cursed doll Annabelle received a 3rd spin-off movie in 2019. Written and directed by Gary Dorberman, Annabelle Comes Home takes place approximately 1 year after the first Conjuring in 1972. While the Warrens travel out of town to investigate another case, they leave their daughter Judy in the care of a babysitter named Mary Ellen. and all hell breaks loose, with a prologue that takes place just before the Warrens' introduction in The Conjuring. The timeline placement of Annabelle Comes Home is confirmed by the presence of the cursed music box, which was acquired by the Warrens after they exorcised the spirit of Bathsheba. In addition to the familiar haunted artifacts in the Warrens' collection, there are a bunch of new cursed objects introduced to the franchise, each with their own spin-off potential.
It should be destroyed.
One of the more tangential spin-offs in the Conjuring franchise is 2019's The Curse of La Llorona, which contains only passing references to the shared cinematic universe. Directed by Michael Chavez, the film opens with a prologue set in 1673, before jumping ahead 300 years to 1973 Los Angeles. A social worker named Anna Tate Garcia learns about the ancient curse of La Llorona, a vengeful spirit of a weeping woman who drowns any children who cross her path. Though Chavez claimed the Curse of La Llorona wasn't originally intended to be connected to the Conjuring universe, small nods to the other movies in the franchise were incorporated during production. The most notable link to the rest of the franchise is the return of Father Perez, who was introduced in the first Annabelle spin-off. The priest briefly recounts his experiences with the cursed doll. A deleted scene would have further cemented the Curse of La Llorona in the Conjuring universe, with Perez planning to entrust the ancient cursed necklace introduced in the movie to the Warrens. A sequel to The Conjuring was in development before the first movie even received a wide release, with James Wan returning as director. The Conjuring 2 opened to critical acclaim and box office success in 2016. The film is set predominantly in 1977, as the Warrens investigate a possession case in London, with the Hodgson family's daughter Janet as a victim. As the Warrens move to exorcise the demon, Lorraine contends with haunting visions of Ed being killed by a sinister nun. The Conjuring 2 formally introduces the demon Valak to the franchise, while setting up Ed to be targeted by the forces of hell. Much like before, the film ends with another glimpse at the Warrens' archive of cursed objects, as Ed adds the Hodgson family's haunted Zoe trope to his collection.
Residents of Brookfield were shocked this afternoon by the broad daylight murder of Bruno Sauls.
2021's The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It brings the franchise into the 1980s. Set in 1981, it sees the Warrens become involved in an infamous murder case. After Arnie Johnson is possessed by a demon, he brutally kills his landlord and pleads paranormal possession as his formal legal defense. The Warrens investigate the legitimacy of Arnie's claim, placing them on a collision course with a satanic cult linked to the possession. Directed by Michael Chavez, The Devil Made Me Do It brings back the disciples of the Ram, the cult introduced in Annabelle. The Warrens learn that the cult is responsible for the curse that has been passed on to Arnie, while Ed becomes noticeably more physically vulnerable to supernatural evil. The Warrens get yet another artifact to add to their cursed archives, as the demonologist couple successfully outmaneuver the cult and another malevolent entity.